We can edit that out! We can edit that out! We can edit that out!
Did we hit record on the voices yet?
I don't know, did we?
I always do that. Every once in a great while, a yes or no would be
Okay.
much appreciated.
Yeah, we totally did.
Okay, cool. So what we got? Episode 3 now.
Episode 3.
Episode 3. And this is not the third time we've recorded it, so we're not doing 3 of 3.
Yeah, that'd be weird. We'll save that for season 3, episode 3.
Oh, rad. We'll totally do that. With like outtakes and stuff. So last episode, right. I'm Jack.
I'm Rob.
Right. And this is We Can Edit That Out. Episode 3, season 2.
It's a podcast.
It's a podcast. Podcasts. What are they?
What were they?
Books. What were they? Libraries. What did they do there? So yeah, this episode is supposed to be how you been? So, how you been?
I don't know. Been pretty good.
Yeah, okay. What have you been doing?
Yeah, been working on a bunch of projects. I just released a music video with Fixed Lens, and we just put out an EP, played some shows in Finland. Mm-hmm. Went to Tampere and Helsinki for the first time and got to have like the whole Finnish punk experience. It was super awesome and snowy and cold, but still super awesome. And yeah, just been kind of trucking along. How about you?
Well, I wanted to comment on you a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
So Helsinki was great. What was your favorite part about Helsinki? What was your takeaway? That's what people say.
Well, I've always kind of had this takeaway for a while, but I think like
you can't have a takeaway until you know.
Okay, well,
until you
certain things
get there, so you can take something away.
Certain things were reinforced. One, I think the quality of musicians in Finland is far higher than most other countries. And I don't know why that is. I feel like ever since I started really getting into international punk, I always really fixated on stuff that was coming out of Finland. I just thought there was something really kind of special and energetic about it. There's so many good bands in that scene, and I don't know if there's something in the water, if it's the excessive amount of licorice everyone's eating, or saunas, or the combination of like saunas and licorice, maybe.
The licorice they're eating, the liquor they're drinking. Sometimes it's the same thing. Did you have some salmiakki?
Yes, did.
That's good
and it had
stuff.
some lacco, which I guess is like, it's similar to salmiakki, but it's different. But it's still kind of like a homemade liqueur made from licorice.
Rad. I've never tried that.
Yeah, apparently it's two different things, but it still tastes very similar to me. But
okay. They have a fine palate for stuff like for licorice and all licorice derivatives.
Yeah. So we played 2 shows, and each show had like 2 hardcore punk bands and 2 post-punk bands. So we played with Koti Tuo and Neo, which are 2 really awesome hardcore punk bands, and then Austeers from Helsinki and Dragsvik from Helsinki as well. And it was just a super awesome blast of a weekend. Had a really, really great time. Got to see some stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Overall impression was like super positive. Came back pretty inspired, I think.
That's great. Do you think maybe it's that it's so fucking cold there that there's not much to do during the winter, but jam?
I mean, it could be, that was always the theory about Seattle and Portland.
Right.
Was that it was so so rainy and drizzly and cold and miserable that no one had anything better to do than to, go into the basement and play some fucking music.
Right. Anthony Bourdain talked about that when he came to Seattle. He's like, Seattle, the city of like obsessing over something till it's perfect, because what the fuck else are you gonna do?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's it could very well be the Finnish scenario as well.
There's also the Swedish thing. I don't know if it happens in Finnish or Finland. So many great bands came out of Sweden, and talking to people about it and getting through it, it's like, but a lot of times the Swedish government will pay people to be in bands, even like not very big bands at all. They consider it a form of art, and art gets subsidized there. So people get money for playing in, garagey level bands.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I remember
Do you hear anything?
I remember, like, I think this happens in Canada too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, like, I think, what was it? It was Decontrol. Decontrol is this D-beat band from...
yeah, I remember those guys. Nice guys.
From Canada. Yeah, super nice guys. But I remember they had a story that they got some, like, subsidized, like, grant money and then their own, like, dole. And they like pooled it all together, and they were eating dog food. They would get like big bags of dried dog food.
I remember this.
Yeah, and they would like mix it with water, and they would just eat it. And then they were able to like buy like Marshall stacks for their fucking band.
They were the total fucking original road warriors of punk,
Yeah, for sure.
Eating dog food to keep the band together, man.
But definitely Scandinavia has way more resources that they allocate towards the arts. And maybe it's like a mixture of that with like a really good healthcare system and just a generally good quality of life that lends people more liberty to like focus on things like art and music. I don't know.
I mean, we definitely got Finland and Sweden. Norway, I mean, if you're talking about black metal, that's the black metal capital of the world. What happened to Denmark? I mean, there's some good Danish bands, but not nearly the level as there is the other Scandinavian countries.
I mean, I guess it depends on what you're into. Like, as far as like punchy hardcore, Denmark is like a huge capital of that stuff.
Yeah.
So Copenhagen really has its own signature sound of like D-beat and hardcore, where it's like really stompy, punk. Not really so much crust, but just sort of this fine line there.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of that style lately, but I haven't really come across that many bands from Denmark that do that. But maybe after the show, you show me some bands to check out. I mean, I remember the Vicious. And what was it? What was the band that No Hope for the Kids?
Yeah, Vicious were Swedish, I believe, but No Hope for the Kids is definitely in Copenhagen.
Okay, and then there was people involved in No Hope for the Kids, and around that band that did a shit ton of other bands that were all really fucking good. You sure Vicious was from Sweden? I don't know.
Pretty sure.
Okay, I'm dumb. That's all right.
Yeah. I feel like they're...
Yeah, you're right.
I feel like they're Swedish.
Okay. We'll go with that. We can edit that part out.
Yeah.
Edit out the parts where I sound stupid. Not much of a show then, is it?
What we could do is we could make a playlist
that goes along with the podcast.
Yeah, and maybe we can, between Jack and I, we can come up with sort of introductory lists to like new and current Finnish, Danish, Scandinavian stuff we like.
And then we can throw Decontrol on there because we just threw them out. We can put Fixed Lens on there because I'm sure the people who are listening to the podcast want to hear the music you're doing too.
Yeah.
I mean, they should.
Yeah. We'll look for some links. We'll make some playlists. And
okay.
Stuff.
Sounds right.
We should make a few playlists, I think.
Yeah. This is good.
Yeah. Scandinavians don't like to mix.
What do you mean mix?
I mean they kind of like each other, but they kind of don't really like each other. It's
no, they don't. Yeah, I was talking to somebody in Finland about it one time. He said, "Oh, you guys hate Swedish people, and Swedish people hate you guys." He's like, "No, we don't hate each other. We just like to make fun of each other." I'm like, "Oh, cool. So what's the joke? What do you talk shit about Swedish people mainly?" He goes, "Oh, that they're like kind of stuck up and arrogant." Okay, cool. I mean, I really like Swedish people, but as a general stereotype, that's funny. I don't want to crucify myself by saying, Swedish people are stuck up, because they're not. But if you say that about them, everybody is going to have a little bit of a laugh about it. Anyway, and I said, so what does Swedish people say about you guys? He goes, "Oh, that we're trash." I'm like. Yeah, that must be why I really like it over in Finland. Yeah, because I'm a trash person too. Cool. All right.
It all makes sense. It's all coming full circle.
Exactly, man. Exactly. I remember I was telling Julie one time about the in Finland, in Helsinki especially, they have bars where there's no music and there's no talking, and there's like one man at each table drinking by themselves. And I went to this bar one time, and I was laughing because I'm like, oh shit, I'm in one of those bars. I took a picture of all the single guys at single tables, send it to Julie, and she writes back, she goes, yeah, but you're one of them. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh no.
From the outside looking in, yeah, I'm a single guy sitting at a single table drinking by himself as I open my book.
So wait, like the bar is just a place where you go and you
just to drink,
and no one's talking to each other. Is there music?
No,
there's no music. It's just quiet.
Yeah.
And people just go in, don't say shit to each other, and they just sit there and drink.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
You can talk, but people don't really. I think it's one of those things where it's like, I don't really want to talk. Sometimes they have separate tables for each person, and then sometimes it's like cafeteria rows with long tables and the long benches, and there'll be enough space between each other so that they don't, have to interact and stuff. Yeah, it's a real thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been to a few of them, One time I was with my friend, Finnish guy, Max, and we go, I want to say hello to this bartender friend of mine. We got to stop into this bar. Okay, cool. So we go into this bar, and he's just talking loud as fuck, nonstop, and I look around, I'm like, oh, fuck, Max, we're in one of those bars where you're not supposed to talk. And he looks around, he's like, yeah, you just figured that out? I'm like, well, what about you? You're talking a lot. I don't give a fuck. Like, okay. He's like, talking, it's not like a rule that nobody talks. It's just people go there because it's mostly not. And if you don't want to talk, nobody's going to talk to you. If you do want to talk, you can. It's not like a restriction, by any means. It's just like a safe space for non-talkers.
Gotcha.
Huh.
See, it'd be funny because, like, if I was going to the non-talking bar, with the intention of just going there just to have drinks and not to talk to anybody, and some big talkers came in,
right,
I would maybe instinctively want to go to, like, the person next to me and go, looks like we got some talkers.
Right.
But then you'd be a talker.
You're fucking talking. Oh, great. Now I'm talking, telling you this. Now everybody in this bar is talking. The whole effect is ruined.
It's a slippery slope.
Cats living with dogs. Anyway.
Yeah. So I had a great time there. I would love to go back and see some more shit.
Okay.
And travel around there, maybe tour some more, or just go there and, like, hang out. But, all of my Finland experiences have been wonderful. Awesome. Last summer when we went with Totenvald to Puntalafest, and what I saw of Tampere and Helsinki just seems like 2-3 places that really have their shit together, and people are really genuine and nice and caring, and it's just a super nice experience.
Some of the nicest goddamn people ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to Helsinki in 2 weeks for the Helsinki Tattoo Convention.
Cool.
I've been doing it every year for about 8 years now. I'm a regular. Yeah, it's a real good time.
Yeah, I got some pastil salmiakki tablets to try and make the booze with.
Oh, are you going to try and do that?
Fuck yeah.
Rad.
Of course I'm going to try to do that.
Uh-huh.
So
okay. Well, I got to try some when you're done with it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I got like 2 regular and then 2 like, it's like licorice and raspberry combined.
Oh, that'll be
so
good.
So maybe like if I combine the 2, then it'll be like subtle raspberry, but not like overpowering.
Yeah.
So gonna try it and see.
Slight hint of raspberry would put it over the top.
I think. So I've been watching some YouTube videos and trying to figure out how to do it. So we'll see how it goes.
Cram a bunch into a bottle of vodka and wait for a month.
Yeah, I mean that seems like what it did. But I've been seeing different videos, and some people crush up the tablets, some people just put them in whole, and I feel like you should crush them up a little bit. But I don't want to make like a licorice mud, or do I?
Do you strain it out a bit at the end?
Yeah, you have to.
Okay.
Otherwise you'd be you'd have sediment all over your.
Try a little bit. I mean, I know you can buy Lakritz in the stores here in Berlin. You know, so if you fuck up on those, and then I can bring you some back from Helsinki also.
Yeah.
You know?
So, well, I'll try this batch. I've got like a bottle of vodka that I bought for like a dinner party that we never opened. Okay. So I'm going to just use that and give it a shot and see how it goes. And, you know, we'll wait a month and see.
So you bought a bottle of vodka for a dinner party and never opened it. How was that dinner party?
Well, you were there.
What? And we never opened a bottle of vodka?
Yeah.
Then I wasn't there.
Yeah, it was actually New Year's.
It is New Year. Oh, right, New Year's, where I broke my foot.
Yeah.
Jumping over the fire. We had a outside New Year's. It was rather warm in Berlin for New Year's this year, and so we had like an outside barbecue bonfire at our friend Marina and Hannes's. At midnight, somebody had to jump over the bonfire. And nobody else did. So I did. Twisted the fuck out of my ankle. Was limping for like 2 months.
Yeah, I saw you land.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
Oh, that foot's going the wrong way. Yeah.
Glad you didn't break it though.
No. I'm really good at breaking my feet for some reason.
So, quick follow-up question: why did somebody have to jump over the fire?
Because
is that like a thing?
Susie did an inception on me on the train. She was talking about that every New Year's somebody has to jump over the fire. I was like, oh, okay, and it just stuck in my head the whole time. And as you get drunker, these inception things get stronger. So that when it came up, I was like, somebody has to jump over the fire, you know, and I did. And, you know, I think it just makes you even more of an idiot when you're that susceptible to inceptions.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's real easy to inception the small-minded.
So you plant little details ahead of schedule, and then the person will just sort of naturally follow through with it out of just being like influenced or incepted.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's seen the movie Inception. So when I think you say Inception, everybody just like clicks in and knows what the fuck you're talking about, you know?
See, like I've seen, you know, I've seen Tenet and I've seen Inception and Shutter Island and stuff. And I wonder if I'm just one of these people that just sort of pretends like they understand what's going on, but maybe secretly doesn't. Because I've seen Inception like 3 times.
Okay.
I tried to watch Tenet twice.
Yeah.
Shutter Island, I think I saw like 1.5 times. And I'm sitting there like looking around and I'm like, does everyone really understand this like so well?
No.
I think Inception was like a little easier to understand.
Yeah.
Tenet, like Karina and I went to go see Tenet in the theater during lockdown.
Yeah.
And there was like, we were like 2 of 4 people in the entire theater.
Were you guys all looking at each other like, I don't know what the fuck is going on? That's the thing. The director just kind of makes a little bit of art and kind of like, I mean, art doesn't have to hit you over the head with a metaphor. Art can just like kind of like reference stuff to give you the feeling of it, you know? And Tenet was just his concept of time. And it's like, let me just like show you what time and quantum physics ideas of relativity with time and does all time exist all at the same time, and if that's true then we're going backwards as well as forward, and so you're kind of supposed to be confused by it.
Okay.
You know,
well, in that case,
and inception is consciousness. Inception is just different levels of consciousness, you know. You got, you know, the where we are at right now brain, and then you have the parts that are a little bit shrouded in the back of your head that you, because you know, we're thinking about this podcast, but there's something buried behind there that's also thinking of like, shit, did I pull my laundry out, you know? Okay, even though you're actually actively thinking about this podcast, and then way back there's subconscious stuff that's like, God, my mom used to hit me if I didn't pick the cilantro fast enough. But that's really not at the top at all. But it's way, way, way in the back, influencing who you are as a person, you know?
Okay.
That was my take. Shutter Island has been ages since I've seen Shutter Island, so no comment on that.
Yeah.
So here's movie reviews. Yeah. Speaking of movies... Did you watch the Academy Awards? Apparently, it was really exciting this year.
I don't really have access to straight up TV, and I haven't for really ever since I lived here. But like,
so you're a modern human being. I don't know anybody that has an actual TV hooked up to a TV network.
Yeah.
Everybody has like a smart TV hooked up to a streaming service. You know.
So as far as the Oscars, I saw a couple video clips of like acceptance speeches, and Jimmy Kimmel was the host this year. I think.
Yeah.
And I watched his monologue.
Yeah, crazy. I watched his monologue just yesterday as well.
I feel like we have very similar YouTube feeds, so we're probably seeing a lot of the same.
Seth Meyers, Saturday
Stephen
Night
Colbert.
Live, Stephen Colbert, yeah.
So I watched while I was making hot sauce this morning.
That's a euphemism for what?
No, I was literally making hot sauce.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was preparing a fuck ton of chilies for
making the hot sauce. When I was making the hot sauce.
Ton of chili. Wow, how many chilies did you get last night?
I mean, collectively, it's about a kilo.
Oh, okay.
But so I was preparing a fermentation this morning, and
that sounds fucking dirty.
Yeah, it does
too.
sound dirty, doesn't it?
Yeah, making hot sauce, preparing a fermentation.
Great, I'm gonna think about that every time now.
It's funny.
No, but I kind of watched Jimmy Kimmel's monologue in the background, and but
I didn't think it was that funny, to tell you the truth.
No, it was okay. It was too safe. I think they were all. I think everyone at the Oscars was so freaked out by the Will Smith thing last year that
don't draw anybody up here to punch you.
Yeah, so I think like they were just being overly safe, which isn't like, which is lame. I think. But I mean, the Oscar. So here's the thing, like I personally think like these award shows are pretty like outdated and kind of past their prime. The Oscars are definitely. The Oscars, for me, have this sort of twofold effect. One, I think like the Academy is like completely kind of tone deaf culturally a lot of times. And they just are sort of in this loop of we only like certain kinds of highbrow art and movies that, we deem to be intellectually superior on a superior level to other to other films. So they leave a lot of things out. In the last couple of years,
it's been super self-indulgent.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, all these rich people getting together to like pat each other on the back and give each other a fucking golden statue, like the whole thing is kind of ridiculous. But at the same time, for filmmakers, it is really kind of like a golden standard of the highest achievement you can like get, and regardless of how dated the institution is, I still really pay attention to the movies that do get cherry picked to be the best ones. And I tend to try to watch them all because oftentimes they're all pretty fucking good movies, And I was really happy that this year, the one I was rooting for just fucking swept the whole thing and just dominated.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Absolutely.
Okay. You told me to go see that movie when it came out. You're like, if you see one fucking movie this year, this is probably the best movie I've seen in this year or a long time. You have, and I think I went maybe 3 days later on your, because when you say it's the best, it's usually is the best, as opposed to the Greasy Strangler, which I will never let you forget.
Again,
I will never forgive you for having me watch that movie.
Here's the thing. We have discussed this movie so many times
I know.
that at some point you're going to have to admit that the Greasy Strangler actually has something about it that makes you think.
Man, it's a conversation piece.
I mean, it's not a good movie.
But there are a lot of things in life that are conversation pieces that you don't really want in your life.
It's so bad that it's bad.
So bad that it's interesting to talk about. You know, it's a you know, the Academy Awards is the gold standard. That is the lead standard.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
would be the correct
The asbestos standard.
antithesis to that. You know,
But there's something about it. There's something about that film that made me want to like try to get other people to see it just so I could get their reaction to it. Because when I saw it, I was so shocked and I was so just speechless. Like, what the fuck did I just watch? How is this a movie? How did this get made? This had a budget.
How did my best friend recommend this to me? Oh, wait a minute. That was me, not you. Anyway.
But anyways, Everything Everywhere All at Once is, to me, it's like a master class in storytelling and film editing.
Yeah.
'Cause number one, they didn't have a big ass budget for this movie. They had a very modest budget. They really had to kind of pull resources and do this on a wing and a prayer. Even just because of that, the final product was so fucking good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look at these movies and you see like the credits and there's like hundreds of editors, you know, spread out all over the fucking world. I think there was like 5 people that edited this fucking film with 8 multiverse universes that all were like going in and out of different realities and different, you know, different timelines and, you know, universes. That movie pulled off what Doctor Strange and the Multiverse tried to do with like 35 times more money.
And way better.
And way better.
Way better. I didn't think the Doctor Strange of the Multiverse was that great of a movie.
Yeah,
but
I watched it on flight. It was okay, but it wasn't like it didn't like this movie.
Yeah,
fucked me up
everywhere,
when I
all
saw
at once,
it, you know?
smashed the multiverse standard. But I was thinking about when you were talking about budget and amount of editors and all that stuff. I was like, yeah, I mean, John Bonham can make a 10-piece drum set sound like a 100-piece, to where, you know, you got this guy in his like stadium band with a 100-piece drum set. And it's like, sounds okay, but you know, I think the real talent is to take the limited resources that you're given and make it look and sound and everything like way more than it is. You know, I think that's real raw fucking talent. You know, that's something that can be super appreciated in this world.
You know, the editor of the film posted a photo of his timeline, and the timeline is like when you're editing a movie or a video, it's like the workspace that you have that lines up all of the clips and, you know, syncs everything in. It's like, it's basically like your canvas when you're making a movie. He posted a picture of his timeline, and his timeline was a disaster. It was just like there's just shit everywhere. Like there's like, you know, disabled clips and you know, stacks and stacks and stacks of layers and stuff. And when I saw this, I was like, holy shit.
He works just like
somebody like me, you know, who's not like just a you know, an industry crafted professional for, you know, decades and has gone to school and knows all this shit. Like somebody who actually kind of pulled themselves up by the bootstraps and, you know, got into this industry and just learned as they went. And, you know, this person made one of the best movies I've seen in the last 10 years, easily.
Sure.
You know, and it's just like, as long as you have a story and you have a perspective and a purpose, it doesn't fucking matter. Like if you've got, you know, a team of 150 CGI artists, you know, scattered across the globe that can come in at any point and work on a 10-second, you know, sequence of a big budget film. It's like this crew And the actors and everyone involved seemed to all just be so passionate about making this story happen. And I think that's why I was like so enamored with it. And plus, it's the story of an Asian immigrant in the US. Mm-hmm. And, you know, whenever I've seen this story, it's either very stereotypical, it's very tokenized, it's like a kind of a pastiche of reality. You know, it's
sometimes they, from your perspective, sometimes they nail it because you actually went through that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a clownish caricature that Hollywood, you can tell a white guy wrote it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so for someone to take the Asian immigrant story in the United States and to like turn it into a sci-fi kung fu,
Right.
you know, explosion.
Awesome.
I can't emphasize how fucking awesome that was to see.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to hear more about how you relate to that, but I think we need a cigarette break real quick.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
We're about a good halfway point, I think.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. Stay tuned for commercial messages from Autark Tattoo. If I mention them, they won't fire me. That's their tagline.
They still might fire him.
Yeah, well. Anyway, back in 5.
All right.
And we're back from smoking.
And we're back.
So before we went to burn cancerous elements, how did it feel as an Asian American to watch these Asian Americans win Academy Awards? And I mean, I assume they're Asian Americans.
The majority of them either have mixed heritage or they're like first generation, you know, born in China, Hong Kong, wherever, moved to the States and kind of developed from there.
I feel like Michelle and the guy from the movie
Ke Hui Kwong.
That's it. I feel like both of them moved. Michelle definitely lived in China for a long time, but we know Kay as a child actor. But, I feel like he was born in Asia and came as
he actually spent a year in a refugee camp. He came over as like a very, very, very small child.
Okay.
And got his break with Indiana Jones.
That was the first big movie he was in, eh?
Yeah, that was the first. And then he was also in the Goonies. He was Data in the Goonies.
Yeah, of course, everybody knows
and
that.
And then he just sort of like
faded out.
Yeah. And then just has this fairy tale comeback years later. When I first watched the movie, it didn't fully click with me.
Dude, I got on my phone as we were watching the movie, and I was like, you know how you're not supposed to have your phone on in the movie? There wasn't that many people in the theater, so I could easily do it. I'm like, I swear, that's the fucking kid. I swear. And then I was showing Julie, I'm like, look. She's like, stop fucking interrupting the movie. I'm like, yeah, but I knew this. Oh my God, yeah.
Okay, well, here's the thing. So when I was a kid and I first saw Indiana Jones, Short Round was one of the first Asian kids that I had ever seen on television or in a film ever.
Like a young kid, Asian. I guess the media doesn't really did that so much.
When I was a kid and I first saw that movie, I was like, whoa, this is not someone that looks exactly like me, but this is like an Asian kid in Hollywood. Like I didn't think it was possible. I really loved his character. I really loved that movie. However, as I started to get older, a little older, not like teenage years, but like still an adolescent, what happened was, and I think a lot of Asian kids in the US maybe have a similar experience to me, is that people start calling you Short Round or they start calling you Data. Mm-hmm. And
yelling, "Pizzas of power!"
Yeah, exactly.
That's fucked up. even though I just did it. But I mean, I did it.
You call him Dr. Jones, you know, and so like,
okay, for me that's funny, but for you it was traumatic.
Well, you know, I kind of grew to resent his character, not because of who he was or his acting, but because like the way Hollywood portrays Asian people, particularly back in the 80s and, you know, 70s before, you know, really my time, was a very hardcore stereotype kind of tokenized version of what it means to be Asian. Yeah. So I started to really resent the concept of what Short Round was. And I don't think it was like intentionally, I don't think Steven Spielberg was like, I want to like demean Asian people in my movie. I think he really wanted to give this kid a platform and make him like a centric character to the movie. Yeah. But, you know, because there was so little representation of Asian people in the media, you know, people just sort of latched on to his accent and how like kind of cartoonish he was and just sort of left him at that and didn't really like give enough credit to, you know, the fact that this kid was actually a pretty talented actor at a young age.
Right. To me, it's like I never thought of him as cartoonish. I just thought he was a character, and I think there's a big difference.
Yeah, and so I think
I didn't think it was a shitty stereotype of some like Asian kid doing Dr. Jones's laundry or something. That kid was like on it, like driving the car and like fucking shit up and actually being like a integral part of the mechanics of the adventure, you know, instead of just being like the Asian servant that you'd see in movies prior to that.
Exactly.
You know?
So,
but people will still take that and make a fucking insult out of it, which sucks.
Definitely. For me, you know, I spent most of my life not really seeing Asian people represented. And when they did get represented, it was a big fucking deal. Yeah. So like, you know, growing up in the 90s, a lot of my favorite hardcore punk bands actually had Asian Americans in them too, you know? And it was like, for me to see like stories of Asian people and their experience told in a succinct and artistic way is like a big fucking deal. Yeah. So for me, this movie, when I saw it, I walked out of there and my mind was so blown because this is a story that Asian Americans struggling to survive and to assimilate and adapt to American culture is a very specific story. And it's often just told, you know, in a very linear way without a whole lot of nuance or creativity. So this film was a big deal. And watching all of the primary characters of this film get Oscars it's mind-blowing. And
did you feel like a justified, like, yes, you know, I don't know if you call it justified or you'd call it like this, like validation of, yes, we're here, you know?
It's more of like a yes, we're here kind of thing, you know? It's like, you know, I can't take personal credit or anything for this feat of filmmaking that you know these people pulled off.
I mean, but I don't take credit for every movie a white person makes that wins an award. Yeah. But I think that's the beginning of racism.
Yeah. But I will say, as a kid growing up, you know, I only saw a very, very small handful of Asians, you know, that actually did get a shot and did somehow make it. Mm-hmm. But it was such a small number that you kind of go through life just assuming that, you know, Oscars and these kind of like accolades and, you know, things you can aspire to in the creative world.
Right. The pinnacle goes to whiteys,
yeah,
for lack of a better term.
It goes to like the, you know, existential French director who, you know, got to go to school and spend his whole life like you know, learning a trade or something like that, you know.
So a lot of that growing up, seeing the world like that kind of gives you an outsider view on the world. It's like these top accolades, sorry. Not accolades. That's what I drink when I have a sore throat.
I'm gonna have some Alkalade right now.
Right. But these accolades only go to these people, not us.
Sure.
Because you relate yourself to other people that look like you, and it is kind of like this is us sort of. Not in a shitty sort of like nationalist or like a fascist sort of way. It is, but it is sort of like this is us, and we don't get that.
Yeah.
We don't get the top of the top. That's for other people. That's for the others, and so maybe that also partially puts your mindset to be an other. You know?
Absolutely.
I don't think it pushed you to be an other in the other ground, but I think you do get that feeling from a very young age from what you experience to consider yourself not one of those. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to say as a white guy and not sound like a complete idiot or dickhead or racist or anything like that, but I think you know what I'm getting at.
Well, here's the thing, like maybe I can make an analogy. So, like Tony Hawk was like the first professional skateboarder to pull off like a 540 or a 720, spin on a skateboard.
Sure.
Until somebody does that and you see it, you don't think it's possible.
Okay. Oh, right.
Gotcha. But once somebody gets captured on film or gets acknowledged for doing something.
Right.
Was it Tanya Harding did like the first triple Lutz or something like that in figure skating or whatever. Right. Until you see that happen, you don't think it's possible. And so what I can say fairly confidently is that there's probably young Asian kids growing up in the States or internationally or elsewhere that are maybe, in some sort of marginalized community that saw what happened at this awards ceremony. And then all of a sudden, the possibility of being an Asian actor winning an Oscar is not an impossibility anymore. And I think that's actually, beautiful. I think that's kind of what to me is significant about it. You can talk shit about the Oscars all you want. I do as well. I think it's definitely a flawed institution. However, it is an institution. And when those ceilings get broken and when you see somebody achieve something that you didn't think was possible, it opens the door for other people to acknowledge that this is now possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think we see that a lot, especially in sports where people don't think it's possible. You're talking about Tony Hawk, Tanya Harding. I think there's been like many fast runners, where it's like, oh, it's impossible to do a 3-minute mile.
Yeah.
Somebody finally does it and it's like, holy shit, that's amazing. And then all of a sudden, everybody's doing it, Yeah. Everybody's doing the 720. Everybody's doing the fucking 360 figures. Everybody's, and you see like, well, okay, now it's not possible to a 2-minute 45 mile. Bam, you break that. Yeah. Maybe people are going to write in and say, you're an idiot. Nobody's done that yet. But I'm just using this as examples, there's things in this life that people don't think are possible. And then all of a sudden, once one person finally fucking does it, it opens a floodgates and everybody's doing it,
Yeah.
And it's a crazy way the world, not the world, but the human mind restricts itself.
Yeah.
To where finally you get this one person who just fucking says, fuck it, I'm not going to be restricted by this self-deprecating human. I can't do that. I'm going to fucking do it. and then it happens, and everybody realizes that's possible. And once that opens up the mind frame of everybody else, once they realize it's possible, then people start doing it, you know. So I'd like to see a lot more all sorts of non-white people kill it in the Academy Awards, and more people of a dynamic range being elected into government in the States, you know?
Absolutely. Like
fucking in Germany, goddammit. Yeah. Do we have anybody who's not white in the German fucking parliament?
I don't know enough about the German parliament to really...
Me neither. I just been drinking, so I'm throwing all sorts of random shit out there.
But here's an example. So the early 2000s, I was playing in a band called Meshkia in Seattle, and we were at a show, one of our early shows, and a relative of one of our band members was there and made a comment and was like, "Oh, like what's up with James Iha playing guitar?" And James Iha is the guitarist of Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, okay.
So he's a
Asian guy.
He's an Asian guy.
Okay. I don't know, the Smashing
Pumpkins. And so the comment was innocent, poking fun. You know, like, what's up with the Asian guy playing, guitar in this, like...
Right, but that's a shitty thing to say, because what is what was the intended response of that? Yeah, he's actually moonlighting from Smashing Pumpkins and coming to Seattle and playing in an Ira... No, that's a fucking shitty, racist fucking thing to say. You can say it's innocent, but when you think about it, what the fuck is the intended response to that?
Exactly. However,
come on.
At the same time, when I heard it, my first initial response was like cringe and just like, oh, fuck, here we go, But then at the same time, I remember being a teenager, seeing Smashing Pumpkins on Saturday Night Live, seeing this fucking Asian dude fucking ripping at guitar and thinking, fuck,
I could do this.
That guy can do it. I'm seeing a future potential of something that I could maybe do someday. Mm-hmm. So when I heard that comment, it was like twofold. Like one was like, I know that wasn't intended to be like a inspiring, like lift you up kind of comment. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I was just like, yeah, what the fuck is up with James Iha on guitar there? Like, fuck it. Like,
fucking eat it.
When I was a kid, I didn't think I would ever be in a situation where I'd be playing on a fucking stage, and so you need to have that representation to see it as a goalpost.
But the Asians sweeping the fucking Academy Awards, I mean, this doesn't necessarily need to be the Academy Awards episode or the Everything Everywhere All at Once episode, but this is more like just talking about this experience.
Sure. I mean,
like inspiring people when you thought things weren't possible because of race or religion or gender or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, the world has come very far away from where it was when I was very young. Because when I was a kid, I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, and it was predominantly white
racist
culture.
Culture. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, white culture, white racist
culture.
Same fucking thing in my book.
Boulder.
Sorry.
Boulder is wildly.
Yeah, either one works. I've heard it both ways.
Boulder was widely considered to be, kind of a liberal oasis in the middle of, what was at the time a very conservative state. That being said, my neighborhood was probably 87% white. I think I could count all of the Asian kids in my class on one hand.
Right.
At one point, I think I was the only Asian kid, in certain scenarios, in certain classes, certain teams and stuff. And this concept of being an outsider was a very prescient thing that was constant. And, like I was in the Boy Scouts when I was a kid, and I was the only fucking Asian kid there. And I had to endure, a bunch of taunts and bullshit comments from kids in my troop. I got in fights over it. Eventually I left the Boy Scouts because of it.
Right. And you became a punk rocker because of it. We did address that in a prior episode.
True.
So, do you have like a anecdote from that time of something you can like really direct it at to give the humanistic vibe to it? If you don't, that's no big deal. I got other questions.
You get used to getting a lot of sideways comments when you're in that particular situation. Kids will identify you as not being part of the cohesive whole, and they will do whatever they can to make sure that you stay on the outskirts of that.
Speaking about the outsider experience, it's funny because in our episode 1, Colin wrote the viewer mail talk about the outsider experience, and here we are doing it. But I think in the outsider experience, the outsider at a young age, I think as you get older and start fucking covering yourself with tattoos and piercings and fucking colored hair and fucking, chopping off fingers and all that weird shit, that I don't condone. But that's when you purposefully make yourself an outsider. But I feel like when you're a younger person, I think outside influences create the outsider.
Sure. I mean, when you're a kid, when you're young, you really just want to belong. You want to be like, you don't want to be left out.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the kid that everyone's like pointing at and laughing at.
Right. Which kid ever said fucking like fuck all y'all fucking I'm just gonna make a bunch of weird noises because I didn't have that response well thought out. So yeah.
But as I got older, and particularly once I started sort of diverging from this path that maybe my parents kind of wanted me more on.
Moron.
Yeah, exactly. My parents more or less wanted the moron, but
the obedient moron.
Once I got to a point where I was like, if I'm going to be a fucking outsider, and if I'm not going to be accepted into this core group of kids, then I'm just going to start doing what I want.
Right.
And I'm going to just go with what my heart tells me that I should do.
What we're talking about is as a child, I think society creates the outsider, and then you're talking about like how you kind of went with that and created yourself and to be another outsider. Well, white people in a white community can also do that by looking punk or metal or goth or trashy and getting tattooed and piercings and fucking chopping off their ears and stuff like that. But white people in a white community can only do that. You can do that, but you can also not do that, but you're still an outsider because you're Asian American.
Yeah.
So I'm just interested in this. What do you think of people who don't have to be outsiders but choose to? You chose to be a punk outsider as an Asian American, so you got the double edge of it. And what do you think about? What do you look at people like me who choose to be outsiders and go like, yeah, bro, cool, whatever,
No, because I think any kind of conversations about race aside, the people who do end up gravitating towards subculture are also not accepted into the main fold, even if they are white, even if they do come from like an upper middle class background or not. It's not always exactly what I would call a choice. I think it finds people. I think,
yeah,
you see
it does because in my personal opinion, I never had a choice but to be anything but like not part of everything. But I also see people that came up with the same white privilege I had. You know, I mean, I didn't come from a wealthy background, but just because I was white, you do have an inherent white privilege. And I see other people who could have because I was mentally fucked up, so it wasn't a choice for me in my head. Maybe we could dispute that, but I see other people who were mentally like really like well and together and choosing this sort of outsider lifestyle because they thought it was the cool, hip, trendy. I like the girls involved, and I like girls with red hair, so I'm gonna get a mohawk. And I like girls that are covered in tattoos, so I'm gonna start getting tattoos. I'm just looking at from a guy's standpoint. That's why I keep bringing up like what girls have done. But also, I want to be popular on Instagram, so I'm gonna have big spiky hair, and and I talk to some people, and I just and with the outsider thing, a lot of times in an outsider group ethic, you kind of stick together, I'm like, oh, you're fucked up. I'm fucked up too, because we look similar. But then a lot of times you talk to these people who look similar to you, and you're like, you are nothing like me. You are actually a well-adjusted person who chose to be an outsider because you thought it was cool. And I went that way because I was just fucked up. And it just, to me, it ended up being kind of cool for a minute. I don't think it's that cool anymore. We could talk about that on an episode, about how like being an outsider just used to be cool. Now it really isn't anymore with social media. Now everybody wants to be like the person who got the most likes. I also want to get the most likes, so I'm going to be just like the person who got the most likes. I don't want to be different, But then there's the people who do get a lot of likes from being different. And I know a lot of people like that, and it's all just like blown up. And I'm talking way too fucking much, maybe because I'm almost done with this bottle of wine. So, where were you going with this?
But here's the thing, and this has been my experience in the punk scene ever since I fell into it, is that the people who are just in it for sex or just want to have some sort of badge on their shoulder, they were never quite the alpha in like mainstream, so they can like infiltrate an underground and become an alpha there and dominate. All of these people that were so, I'm punk till death, blah, blah, blah. None of these people are punks anymore.
Yeah, no, of course not.
So I think there's sort of like this kind of like natural selection process that sort of happens, you know what I mean? Like
the Darwinism of punk.
Like,
oh, that's a good title for this episode. Oh, the Darwinism of punk. But people like start it and they're like, what? But yeah, you got to listen till the end to get it.
Right. But like I think I don't judge anyone for the reasoning behind finding identity in things. Like I struggled for so long when I was younger trying to figure out who the fuck I was, because I had an Asian household, where we had to take our shoes off when we got home. We had rice at nearly every meal. That's not necessarily
an Asian.
But just go with me here. Like,
okay.
My friends would come over for pizza sometime, and there would be rice on the table, and everyone would be confused. Like there's certain things about my upbringing that automatically, side-chained me from the rest of society.
Okay, yeah.
And there was an inescapable reality that I was not a part of everything that was going on around me.
Man, you can't escape who you are, right?
You can't. And, I resented it for so long until I got to a point where I realized that, this is the DNA that makes up my identity now. And even though I railed against it so much when I was younger, I really understand that a lot of my experience and the way that I am now is a direct result of this experience that I had growing up. But at a certain point, I think there was like a shift, and I started to really appreciate and understand that perspective set me on a trajectory. And now I'm living in Berlin. This is insane.
Okay, yeah. Now we're both outsiders. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Did you're also a child of an immigrant family. Like your parents are first generation Latvians that moved to the States. So like, I'm really curious as to how and if you had any kind of unique experiences that sort of set you on the outside of, the other kids in your school.
Not really, Yeah, I mean, I think there was, like, nobody could pronounce my name, and they all thought it was weird. And when people found out when teachers found out I was a child of refugees from what was the Soviet Union back then, they got real weird. Like I was some sort of infiltrator, like, oh, fuck, well, what are you doing here? Are you spying on us? Are you trying to take us? Not me, but my parents, but they thought I might have been like a plant.
Really? Did you have like teachers that actually like said shit like that to you?
No, but they would be really confused and they would grill me. And they're like, where are your parents from? Latvia. Where?
Where's that?
Latvia. Where's that? Soviet Union. Latvia? Yes. The Soviet Union. Yes. And it's still the Soviet Union because it's the 70s, so it's still Soviet Union. And they would just just get upset that I would say that. And because back then, just to be from the Soviet Union was kind of upsetting people because there's a whole dark time with the Cold War had a nuclear holocaust and game of it, which was terrifying to people. And there's another podcast for what was it like growing up during the Cold War with a nuclear holocaust hanging over your head, always. Ugh. So yeah, but that was about it. I was still fortunate enough to come in as a white kid, so I really didn't have a traumatic experience from it. But to this day, I don't use my real last name because every fucking first day in every single fucking grade, when a teacher called my name, they would try and pronounce my name. It's like, no, it's not how you pronounce it. Say it again. I'd say it. No, that's not. Is that back and forth? And I just got so fucking fuck you, that when people see my last name now and they try and pronounce it, they go, did I get it right? I'm like, yeah, you got it right. Oh yeah, so good, perfect, nailed it the first time. Move the fuck on. Let's talk about me as a human being, not my fucking stupid name that's impossible to pronounce except by anybody who was born in Latvia. I really didn't have the outsider experience
but maybe this is touching on it though, because you're like, maybe focus on me being a human being than this exterior thing to me that you've fixated on to separate me from the rest of like humanity. But I mean that's actually a thing. I mean that for me was actually a huge like contingent factor in my like upbringing as being like an Asian American kid, is that I felt like people saw me and they fixated on my race and they wanted to know, and this is one thing that really permeates my whole experience in Berlin as well. is that I meet people and they're like, oh, okay, I can't figure out like what you are, and then they start.
I'm a fucking human being.
Yeah, you know. But
how about that?
So
Why don't we start with that?
So where are you from? You know, like. And I'm like, yeah, I'm from the States. I'm from Colorado. I always center on that first. I was like, I'm from Colorado. And they're like, okay. And like, it's in the geographic center of the United States.
Okay.
They're like, oh, but I mean, you know.
It really is. Okay. I got a funny story. I was in Bremen with this girl I was dating at the time. Not Julie, but a different one. So we don't have to mention names, you know, because
I'll probably edit that out.
There's only Julie. Everybody else is nameless. But anyway, we're in this bar, and it's like a punk bar. And, you know, in the punk bars in Bremen, you're going to be playing punk. You're going to be playing metal. And everybody looks kind of punk or kind of metal. The other girl, almost said her name, was from the metal scene. And she was talking to the bartender. And she goes like, so what are you? Are you like punk or are you metal? But the bartender, being like from the lefty, says, I'm a fucking human being. And without being able to control myself, I go, no, you're not. You're a part of the machine. And he looked at me. I don't think he was from the crass hole generation I was from. He looked at me like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So good.
And I was like, God damn it. Maybe we should just pay our tab and leave. Oh, I thought he would appreciate that one. Anyway, if anybody doesn't know, that's a reference to a classic crass lyric.
That's amazing. What an amazing story. Holy shit, that's perfect. That was perfect.
It really was. I was like, I thought he was even gonna say it, so I almost did it, expecting us to like have a sing along moment together, but he didn't do it. And then I'm standing there holding like the microphone by myself, you know, like. Not that there was a microphone, but you know that like metaphorical microphone, like, ha, whoo. Whoo! I'm hooting like an owl. Can somebody help me?
Oh, that's so good. That is so fucking good. What a perfect end cap. Oh my god.
Yeah. Next episode, we talk about what I've been doing.
Yes, and
if you want.
Yeah, and I think maybe by that time you'll be back from Helsinki, and we can actually like figure out what your Finnish experience was
okay,
like.
well, let's finish that experience.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, cool. See you next time.
All right, bye.
We can edit that out. We can edit that out. We can edit that out. Hey, if you like us and you're interested in what we're doing and you want to follow stuff that we do and you want to do that, and in doing so, you can do this. You can do an email with viewer mail to
wcetopodcast@gmail.com.
Wrong. That was completely wrong. No, just kidding. You got it right. I just wanted to.
God damn it!
I just wanted to be the naysayer of the group. Now that this is a group, two people is not really a group, is it?
It's a duo, a dynamic duo.
Okay. I'm Batman. Hey, come on. Robbing your mom's clothes off. What? Anyway, sorry. I'm getting back to it.
Wait, did you say me and my mom's
No.
clothes?
No.
The clothes are off?
No. And also follow us on Facebook. What are we on Facebook, Rob? I can't remember.
It's We Can Edit That Out.
Oh, that's it. Crazy. What a interesting and unique title. And,
Super good, super original. That's why we're here.
But also, please follow us on Instagram because we need the money. I don't know how we'd make money off of Instagram, but it doesn't matter.
Some people do.
Just it's just something to say. And what's our title at Instagram?
It is We Can Edit That Out _podcast.
Yeah, and you don't actually write out underscore. You just put the symbol for underscore.
Yeah, if you underscored it, then that would be, you'd be undermining your whole purpose there.